You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Extreme Weight Loss After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Extreme Weight Loss After Show.
Yeah.
I just have to let this play a little bit.
I'm feeling so empowered.
All right. Getting stronger. That is going to be the theme of our series. Welcome, everybody. We are here doing season 3, episodes 1 and 2 of Extreme Makeover Weight Loss. So those of you that may just be joining, well, obviously you're just joining us because this is a first recap, but some of you might know me from recapping AfterBuzz's Biggest Loser. My name is Lauren Mendoza, and I'm joined by my gorgeous co-host, Lina. Please introduce yourself.
Lina Green.
Hi, Lina. So, like I said, I covered The Biggest Loser at AfterBuzz, and I'm a little bit obsessed with these weight loss shows, the exercise nutrition trend.
Especially with summer coming.
And we're now in spring. So I'm extremely excited to be covering this show.
Yeah.
Tell me about why you're excited to be covering this show.
I'm excited because I'm really into nutrition and fitness. And these are stories about, like, not just nutrition and fitness, but the heart, you know, and about emotional support.
Yeah, that's the same for me with Biggest Loser.
Yeah.
But if you guys happen to be listening on iTunes, you're going to have to catch us again live because you need to see Lina's guns. Because Lina has guns, and when she talks about loving nutrition and fitness, she means it, and you will see when you watch.
I don't work them out. This is all natural.
Yes. So thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to jump right into it because, like I said, we have 2 episodes to recap. So we're going to start off with the very first premiere episode of season 3. And Lina, you're going to take us through that.
Okay, this was a unique one because it was twins.
Yes.
And it was Becca and David. And this was really kind of an emotional ride with them.
Of course.
I cried a few times on
It's going to be an emotional ride for every single episode, let's be honest.
It was a lot because they were depending so much on each other. And without that, they seemed to go into pieces every time, like, you turn the corner. It was like, well, we can't function. So
yeah. Like you said when we were watching it, that they kind of are awkwardly close.
Very awkwardly
I mean, I'm not a twin. You're a triplet.
I'm a triplet. And
so you should know the dynamic of a relationship. Is it a little weird?
Theirs was a little bit weird because they were really, really close. I'm not that close with my sisters, but they have been together their whole lives. Like, we do separation.
I thought it was a little awkward to be, like, in your bra and underwear or standing next to your brother,
there,
right?
Like,
yeah, like showing it all.
face, yeah.
But, you know, you got to get through it, I guess.
Yeah, so it starts out with them weighing. You know, the weighing part is like going up the hill.
Yeah.
You know, that's the first milestone. So they have to get on this freight. What was it? What do you call it?
It's like it looks like a freight scale.
Oh, yeah. It was
You know,
horrible.
The Biggest Loser, they have this big, I don't know, just big platform that you stand on.
Okay.
This looked like they were in a garage of some sort, a warehouse maybe. And yeah, like you literally weigh freight there. They bring in truckloads. That's what it looks like. And that's embarrassing. It also kind of looked a little low production to me.
No, it did look low.
I think it looked a little low
they did
production.
it on purpose so that we get to understand that this is serious. Like, you can't even be weighed on a scale, a regular scale. Even David, like one of the contestants, he was like,
yeah, I guess you're right.
I'm being weighed on this freight scale. This is embarrassing. And that really broke my heart. I was like, oh.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. Let's just say that. So please continue.
So
I'm
after
sorry.
the weighing, they tell their story. You know, they were brought up. Personally, I didn't think their upbringing was that horrible, but they said their dad bullied them. You know, bullying is huge right now. And when you're a parent,
it's huge. It's a trend, basically.
When you're saying that your parents is bullying you, your dad, that's...
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to be really empathetic to what these people are going through. I know we both are, but this is what I saw. I mean, we saw in the very beginning that Rebecca's eating pizza, and her dad kind of stops her right away and says, "Are you eating pizza?" And she's like, "It's veggie pizza."
Did you think that was wrong? I didn't think that was wrong. I thought that he was asking a question about her nutritional health.
Right. I agree with you. However, I think that because they show that they've been overweight from the very beginning, they've obviously had self-esteem issues from the very beginning. And when someone's calling you out on what you're eating, when you already don't feel confident in yourself and you probably already know it's bad, it's just that extra hit. And it does feel like bullying, or it feels like they're pointing out to you maybe what you already know. And, we noticed right away that they're very unmotivated. In their voice, the way they talked, it's veggie pizza.
David sitting down doing the dishes,
yeah, and his dad called him out on that. And I think, his dad was obviously concerned. They showed how he bought them all this gym equipment, and he's really trying to provide things for them. But I think because their dad, he was not in the best of shape. Let's be honest. I almost feel like maybe part of his worry for them, which we never really saw this through the episode, but part of his worry of them could be his own issues with himself. I mean, he obviously isn't in the best of shape, and maybe he doesn't want to see that for his kids.
You definitely don't want
And he obviously, if he hasn't done it, he doesn't know how to motivate them or encourage them to do it. And unfortunately, the way that he's trying to call them out on it doesn't really work. It actually kind of, I think, creates the opposite effect. So that's why when they say their dad bullied them, I don't think it was intentional, obviously, but I think because they already had so many issues and they've been overweight their whole life, somebody kind of pointing it out to them, be like, "We're gonna eat that,"
and they said that
it's not the right way to do it.
They're like, "Don't point that out. We get it. We're fat," but it's like he's doing the best that he can. As a parent, you don't want your kids to go through what you're going through. So him buying the gym equipment was like, "Hey, that's motivation. I shouldn't have to tell you to get on it."
Right, but you know what? They said that they would come home from school and just move it to make noise or sleep by it. But what he could have done is get in there and do it with them. Then he would know that they were actually using it. So I think, you're right. He did his best, and I'm not a parent. I don't know what it's like to be in that position, but I feel like he was trying, but somehow it was having the opposite effect on them, and the two just didn't work out, obviously. Here they are.
Yeah. And so first Chris, who's the wonderful host on this show, he ends up splitting them up for the first 60 days. The 90 days, he ends up splitting them up so that they can get through this alone because they've been together.
They're like each other's enablers.
And they were hindering each other. Like they both lost weight in the past, but gained it back whenever they got back together. When they were split up, they lost weight.
That's so weird.
That is. That you would think they would motivate each other to lose weight, but instead, every time they got together, they just made each other.
They were each other's crutch.
Yes.
They knew you want to eat that, I want to eat that, let's eat it together.
That's what they said. They were like, well, when Becca was like, when David's around, I just want to, hang out with him, eat. That's basically
what
her
they
voice.
do.
I just want to.
Yes. I was very concerned at the very beginning of the episode. I thought, are they going to talk like this the entire time?
Yes.
And they sounded unmotivated. Before they even told us they were unmotivated, we basically were calling it. We're like, they have no motivation. They're slow to speak. It's just all over their face and in their voice.
And it's sad. And so
it's very sad.
Yeah, so they get a surprise on the 23rd birthday that, Chris is going to take them on as clients, and they're going to go through this year-long journey, 365 days of losing this weight, working out and getting back into shape and motivating themselves. So they start their journey separated. They cried. It was an emotional separation because they know been separated again. They were like, we can't do this alone. But
they're probably scared.
Yeah, they were scared. And Becca, I believe, she stays in Arizona at the workout complex. And then David has to go back home and work out with his dad. And that's where they bond.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Look, you're like, the dad.
Okay, good.
The dad actually pulls his weight and starts working out and trying to help his son. And it was that was the emotional change that you see. And that's where it first starts, emotionally. That's where I think it's first needed. They needed to break that down. I think
they showcased from the very beginning that relationship with their father could be contributing to their weight. So I think they needed to break down those walls before they could really move forward.
Yeah, and that definitely is what happened with him working out with him, that it just was the clear thing that they needed to be separated in the bonding with the father and Rebecca being on her own.
Yeah.
And so they came back together for the next 90 days.
Perfect.
Working out and stuff and motivating each other. There was this one scene that was amazing where David has to hold what do you call those things, those bells?
Like barbells?
The barbells over his head.
Okay.
And Becca has to carry some heavy ones, and she has to run. And in order for him to put it down, she has to come back. And she couldn't do it anymore. It made me cry. That was a moment where I almost teared up again. Because she was like, I wanted to quit. And I looked at my brother, and he was in pain. Like, he was like, Becca, come on.
You better get
Becca, get over here. And she had put it down. He was like, Becca, don't you put that down. And she picks it up, and she's like, I can do it. And she runs back to him. I was doing hand claps at that time.
It's just funny how they tear them apart so they could be apart, and then they put them back together, and then they actually make them depend on each other.
Yeah.
But I think that's
But
smart.
the healthy way.
Yeah,
Depend on
you're
each
right.
other that, hey, we're going to help each other
That's true.
through this. So that was very emotional. I
Yeah.
was just like.
And then was it in that second 90-day period where they brought in Chris's wife?
Yes, Chris's wife helped
Heidi.
Becca. Yes, Heidi.
Who's a hot little mama on her own. We've got Chris Powell, the trainer of this show, and then his hot little wife, all cute and
She's had like
trim
3
and
kids
hot little
already
figure.
at this point, and she looks amazing.
And we should say they're both personal trainers, which if you're watching the show, you know that already, and you could tell. It's very obvious.
Even when Becca goes to because she's like, y'all are all extremely gorgeous looking people. That was another motivation.
And she was hitting on the personal trainer, right?
He was the one, the physical therapist.
Oh,
She was like,
yes, that's what I meant. Physical therapist.
He said, I'll take care of your body.
And she's like, you better.
Yeah, you will.
Please do. That's what she was saying.
I was right along. I was like, can I join that?
Like, how do I sign up for this show?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And what did it tell us about what Heidi did and why they brought her into the show?
I think Heidi they've never done it with 2 people. So when they split them up, Heidi stayed with Becca and Chris went to go live with David. He actually went to go live with David, motivate him to, work out harder. Because David started slacking. There was a few times throughout the episode where he slacked or where he was like, I'm tired, or I think I've pushed myself enough. So he definitely needed the extra motivation. Becca was strong. Like, she was trying to push it throughout the whole.
Of course. She's a woman. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I think it's also very fitting, they brought in these twins. It's a family challenge to have Chris and his family, his wife, like we said, she's a trainer, to kind of bring her in to kind of tag team on this experience.
She had her working out hard.
Yeah.
Running bleachers, and those are not easy.
I want to be their kids. I want to be one of their kids.
I don't know if I can live up to that. Could you imagine?
You would be born into it. You wouldn't even have a choice. You would, first of all, when she's pregnant, she probably eats really healthy, so you already have that taste for that healthy food. And then they probably have you playing all the time. I mean, you could not physically be lazy. You could not, it wouldn't even be in your genes.
I know, but you want those lazy days where you're like, I want potato chips, and they're like,
but
no,
if you were them,
carrots.
you don't. They're just not born with that.
I don't know. I mean,
they're perfect. That's what I imagine.
Like the perfect family.
They do.
It's like
we'll get into them later. Okay, so now where we're at, we're in the last 90 days.
It's the last 90 days.
Bring us up to that.
Yes. So I mean, they're weighing in, and they're actually hitting their target goals, like with vengeance.
Awesome.
With like over pounds, like they're under their weight with vengeance.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm definitely proud of them. Everybody's proud of them. They're like, oh, we're doing so well. And
I don't think we even mentioned actually what they weighed in at. When David started out, he weighed at 470. Did we even mention
470, yes.
470, and then Becca weighed at 398.
Okay, yes.
And what was their goal weight?
I
didn't have that written down.
I don't think they had a goal weight in the beginning. It was just the increments of losing weight.
Got it.
And
with each, the first 90 days, we need you to lose this much. Second is this much.
And in the beginning, they had to jointly lose like 200 pounds.
Each.
No, together.
Oh, together. Okay.
So,
oh, well, that would be a lot.
And that was
Should've
hard
thought of that.
because maybe David would slack off and only lose 50 pounds.
Yeah.
So Becca had to pick up the slack. That's like,
But they also didn't know because they were apart, right?
well, when they came back together,
right.
they end up having to come back together. And
But
they
I'm
got
saying
weight.
they wouldn't know, like if he was slacking, she wouldn't know to
On
work
the
extra
first-
hard.
On the first, when they first 90 days, but on the second one, they were working out together.
So they would know.
they knew, and he was even like, Becca, I don't want to, like, there was a point where he was like, Becca, I don't want to work out right now. She was like, this is serious. We need to,
You better
you
work
need to
out
get
right
up.
now.
And he's like, I don't, not right now. And Chris was concerned, like, wow, he's going to bring her down. Because she would be like, well, if you're not going to work out, I don't want to work out. You know,
Yeah.
it was like this twin thing. Like, if he doesn't want to do anything, I don't want to do it.
But you know what I think is interesting? How, let's say, you know, this example of Becca taking it so seriously and being like, no, we need to hit this goal. And then there's David who's like, I don't really want to work out right now. What I think is kind of interesting about this show is that even though they're given goals, there's no, I don't want to say punishment, but there's no consequence really to, like, if they don't hit their goal, what happens other than it's just a disappointment of not making your goal.
They did get the consequence of the surgery.
Oh, that's right. Because they do have that goal of having the skin removal surgery.
Yeah, so that's at the.
But
towards the
essentially,
end.
if you haven't lost all that much weight, you really don't need to have the skin removed yet. But you're right. Like, if they want the full deal and that total transformation, then they're obviously going to want that skin surgery.
That's an expensive surgery, and
That's
for them to
true.
get it offered for free by hitting
true.
their goals, that's.
Because that's what I think separates this show, you know, from shows like The Biggest Loser, where it's like, if you don't meet that mark, you're off the show. So I just was curious how, if there's not really a consequence, like other than just wanting the change, you know, there's going to be, I think, people that we might see in the upcoming episodes that might not be so motivated. You know?
I think we've seen that so far. They want this change so bad. They're like ready to be different people, to transform themselves. So that's the motivation as well as the surgery.
Yeah.
And when it happens that David ends up getting approved for the surgery and Becca doesn't because she's been pushing and pushing. And
At the end, you mean?
This is towards the end, almost the end. And they've
already approved him for the surgery.
And Becca doesn't get approved. And you see this, I've been pushing and stuff, and her brother breaks down because he's seen her push and push. And for her not to get approved, it just tore him up. And he was like, this is my fault.
Yeah.
If I had done more, maybe, and you always see that psychologically that they're.
But it's really not his fault because that her getting approved for the surgery or not getting approved is simply based on her own improvement, her own weight loss. And why does it always work out that it's so much easier for guys?
It's always like, and I said that, I was like, I'm thinking he's gonna, of course, lose the most weight because he's a guy. It's gonna be.
I mean, it's so not fair. She's like killing herself.
Yeah, like
and he's like, I'm not gonna work out right now.
There are times where he's not working out and she's
not right.
hitting the gym and he's still losing like all this weight. You know?
Cool.
But
Not
she
cool,
looks-
but it
yeah.
is just the nature of our genes, apparently. Yeah. So then take us through the very end.
The very end, they looked amazing. That's
And what did they weigh in at? Do you have
Okay.
that?
Becca, I believed she was half her weight. I think she.
Ooh, half her weight. That's pretty good.
Yeah. She looked incredible.
Oh
and
my-
she still has.
She did look incredible. When she walked up there, I felt like she didn't even look like the same person.
No.
Even in her face.
Even she didn't sound the same.
Well, thank God. Thank God she didn't sound the same.
I lost all of this weight and
She was smiling.
yeah, she was energized.
She was smiling. There was an energy with her. She looked amazing.
Yes.
You know, because sometimes it just takes getting over that, first step. Then you're motivated.
Yeah, and encourage her to go back to school. Like they have both dropped out of school and now they both decide to go back to school.
Because you have this newfound belief in yourself. You're like, well, I didn't think I could accomplish this. I obviously wasn't making an effort because I didn't think it was achievable. Once you actually are starting to achieve it and you're seeing that
you see
progress,
results.
yeah, it inspires you to do other things. You're like, well, if I didn't think I could do this and I have, there's other things that I maybe don't think that I could do or haven't been motivated to do that I really want to do and I can.
Yeah, that's exactly what she said. She was like, now I'm going to go back to nursing school. And that was her whole motivation. Like, now I'm motivated to do things for myself. I feel good about myself. I have more energy to do this.
Yes.
I'm going to go for it.
And then there was David, who you described as being hot.
I said, he started feeling himself at the end. He was like, I look good, don't I?
Of course he would, right?
I had to agree. Because you seeing him transform, and then at the end, he did. He had that little cocky smile on his face.
He's like, look at me,
look
ladies.
At me.
Oh, my goodness. So that wraps up our first episode. And it kind of, I mean, if you guys aren't familiar with this season, if you haven't watched the previous 2 seasons, this is what every episode is pretty much going to be like. Like, they find this newfound energy, they're motivated, and they're super inspiring. But in between, we've got Phil on the 1s and 2s.
You said it with such disdain. We got Phil. Hello, everybody. The music you're hearing is from a very cool movie called Adventures of the Serial Buddies, written and directed by our own Kevin Undergaro, who founded the network, alongside Maria Menounos, who happens to be the executive producer and star in Serial Buddies. It's a new movie that just came out. It's the first serial killer comedy of all time.
Ooh.
Look at that moniker. That's a big title right there.
Phil, you happen to be standing in the dance section. I don't know if you know
There's a dance number in Adventures of Serial Buddies with Christopher Lloyd doing the dance. And there's a singing portion with Christopher Lloyd. There's Artie Lang in the movie, Henry Winkler, Kathy Lee Gifford, Beth Bears from Two Broke Girls. The list goes on and on and on. It's very funny. It's very reasonably priced at $5.99 for the high definition copy.
Awesome.
That wasn't me burping. That's part of the song. It's it's the tone of the movie. It's very zany. It's fun. So for you fans, we don't ask you guys to do a lot. And this time we're asking you to just do this one thing, which is spread the word, buy the movie, Adventures of Serial Buddies.
Awesome. And getting back to the dance, are you going to give us a sneak peek, seeing that you are in our dance section tonight?
Okay, sneak peek of the dance.
You've already proven that you could burp and talk at the same time.
I know.
So let's see your other talents here, Felonious.
Well, I'd have to sing, and I don't want to give away the singing portion, but the song's called Who Wouldn't Love Jesus?
Okay.
And, and it's Christopher Lloyd. He really gets into it, and it's very funny.
Okay, let's see a dance. Shake it. Woo!
There you go.
There we go. That's all I needed, Phil. That's all I needed.
That's right. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Back to your regular scheduled programming.
Amazing. Thank you, Phil, for chiming in. And now we go into episode 2. We have Meredith. Meredith, 24, from Rochester, New York. And Meredith, she's this really gorgeous, blonde 24-year-old. She talks about how she started her weight loss journey before this episode at 400 pounds. When she starts this episode, she weighs in at 314. So she's already kind of lost her weight. And I think she talks about how in her journey from going to 400 to this 314 that she was motivated. Actually, no, she went below 300. And she was so inspired that she tattooed herself with her ideal weight right on her belly of 155. Yeah.
That's quite ambitious.
It's ambitious, but at the same time, it's so doable. And she had already lost so much weight at that point that she believed in herself and felt she could do it. So she went ahead with that tattoo. Personally, I just feel like when you tattoo yourself with something like that, you jinx yourself.
You do? I mean, it's kind of a motivation. You see it every day. It's like, there it is.
But is it a motivation? Because it didn't work. So I think it just depends on who you are. For me, I could never do that because I think I would be setting myself up for failure.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I would think, I'll get there. And somehow I wouldn't. Or all these years would go by and weight would slowly creep on, which ended up happening.
It did.
With Meredith. Meredith, she talks about her upbringing as well, which I think is the common story with a lot of people that have severe severe weight issues, they typically have just these emotions or maybe a difficult past, and that's kind of how they feed their emotions.
They turn to food for comfort.
Exactly.
It's not going to ridicule you at the end of the day.
That's true. That's why I love my ice cream. We like the same food.
It's not going to say, hey, you're nothing. No.
Exactly. No.
It's going to be there.
It's going to be great.
And delicious.
But we're not going to talk about ice cream because I'll just want some. We're talking about the motivation. So, yes. So, she talks about being adopted. And it looks like one of the things that she really carries on her shoulders is that feeling of not being wanted, which I think for anybody that's adopted, that's a common theme. That is a common feeling. It's something that a lot of people understand. And she, talks about finding a letter from her mom that was written when she was just an infant. And personally, she read this letter out loud. And the letter is from her birth mother to the adopting parents. And, she actually says that one of the best days of my life was giving birth to this child. And all she wants is for this better home. I'm not ready to take care of her. I feel like when she was reading it, it's so obvious that this mother really loved this baby and did it because she felt it was the best and didn't want to do it. And it made me sad because it felt like Meredith couldn't really accept that or see it.
And she said that she couldn't see that her family loved her unconditionally.
Yeah. She called herself the black sheep.
And that was not evident.
She just felt that way. It wasn't at all what anybody else seemed to think of her, but that's just what she labeled herself. And I think it was because she just didn't feel wanted from the very beginning. And for that reason, she also didn't have very much self-esteem and confidence. So
psychologically, that's what led to her bad eating habits and to,
of course,
yo-yo dieting up and down.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I think when you label yourself the black sheep, you can also give yourself an excuse to be the black sheep. You're telling yourself you're not good enough, so you kind of are already giving up and you're letting yourself do that.
Yeah.
She mentions how at 21 years old, when she found this letter, I believe, she went ahead and contacted the adoption agency.
Yeah.
And I think she was able to read a description of what her mother looked like. And I
think she was just looking for that, confirmation. Like, hey, this person didn't want me or they didn't love me, but that's not what was the reality,
Right. But she still didn't accept that.
Yeah.
Even in this entire time that in the beginning when she's talking about it. But, Meredith talks about early on in her life, her dream was to be on Baywatch. And I loved that part in the episode because she starts to crack up and you could really see her personality.
She's lovely, lovely, amazing personality.
Yeah.
Beautiful girl. She had me smiling the whole time. I'm like,
she just seems like so much fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when she was like dying of laughter of her own dream of being on Baywatch, I just kind of fell in love with her already.
She's like, but I grew up.
Yeah, but I grew up. And instead, I teach kinder crew. That's what she said, which I've never heard that term, kinder crew.
It's cute, though.
It is cute. Yeah, and so it's at her kinder crew class where she's getting them ready for their talent show that this large carrot comes on the stage with big biceps, and that was the first thing she noticed, and that is actually what gave her the hint, which Lina has right here. If anybody wants to see big biceps, just tune in.
Okay, they're not as big as Chris's.
They are cut, and that's all that matters. So she notices biceps, and she knew right away that this was Chris Powell coming in to surprise her, and it was really kind of funny because he goes in as this like goofy carrot talking to the kids, and then he transfers from this like, hi kids, eat your vegetables, to hi Meredith, I have chosen you.
The kids are
and
scared.
They're like, what happened to this amazing carrot? He turned frightening, but he's smiling. And Meredith obviously breaks into tears, and they go off on their merry way.
That's awesome.
And it's really funny because then she brings him to her house, and all of the family were just like so excited to see Chris Powell. And even though I know of this show and I know of Chris Powell, I will be honest, if I saw Chris Powell walking on the street, I don't know that I would know who he was. Now I think I will, now that I'm really diving into this series.
It's this excitement, though. The energy he brings. He's like, hey, guys.
They're like, oh my
wow,
gosh.
he's so amazing.
What?
And he's hot.
Yeah. So
like you say, I think everybody's hot.
Right. The sister was like just drooling. She's probably jealous, which is why we see her later on seeming to be very much like a bitch.
It seemed like she was just a hater. I'm going to say that. I'm going to put that out there.
Yeah.
She was just making faces through the whole show. Except towards the end, but we'll talk about that later.
I'm glad that we really didn't see too much of her in this episode. Yeah. But so, you know, Chris has her weigh in on this horrible looking freight scale. She weighs in at 314, and then we kind of see her in the first 7 days where she's working with Chris, and then she's also learning a little bit about nutrition. And in the very beginning, her first challenge with Chris is to run on the beach, just like she would have dreamed in Baywatch. And she has, it is a challenge. It's a challenge for anybody, especially if you're not a runner. Even if you are a runner and you're not used to running on the sand, it's just taking it to a whole new level. So he has her run to the first lifeguard post and back.
Yes.
And she's like, not having it. It's not good. Doesn't look easy. She breaks down.
Again. It's called his fight or flight challenges. And they're pretty aggressive. You know, running from one post. Those things are not close together.
Right.
They're not. So
but it took her, we found out later in the episode that only took her 10 minutes. But if you're not used to running at all, 10 minutes, ugh. I don't even want to run.
Yeah, I think she did more later on. But
oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But so we see her break down there, and the one thing that she actually says is that the first day of my life, somebody gave me up. That was like the first, like she just broke down, and that's what she thought.
It hurt me to hear that. I was like, he needed to work on her psychologically in order for her to get past this hurdle.
Oh, 100%. I think that is the first hurdle, you know, or it gradually starts to break down, but that is really the source of why she's as heavy as she is, because she's always lived with that one belief. Yeah, she's out there on the beautiful beach, and that's all she's thinking. I was given up. Nobody loved me. Nobody wanted me, and it's sad because it's so untrue.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, we're not in that situation to feel that, but what I was thinking when she said that is that she's missing the point that the same day that she was given up, she was also chosen. There was a family that picked her. And I can't say that I was chosen. My mother had me and she kept me, but I don't know that she necessarily chose me. She just kept me. I don't know that she actually really planned for me to happen. I think she did, but that's my belief. But you know what I mean?
We'll
like most of us
later. Okay.
Hold me on that couch and just let me be laying down. No, but I mean, you know, there are people that, they get pregnant by accident and they keep their baby, but when somebody adopts you, you know, they are just choosing you. They're hand-selecting you, and that I think is amazing. Yeah. I was probably crying, and my mom was like, "What am I doing? Why?
No."
What, you know, who
my mom
knows?
had triplets. She was like, "No."
Oh. I can't even imagine. That would be tough. So, you know, that, in my opinion, when she was saying that, it made me so sad for her because I don't know what that feels like, and it sounds like such a horrible pain. But at the same time, all I wanted was for her to also see the other realization that she was chosen.
And it happens. It happens throughout, very slowly, as it should be.
Yeah.
Because it's something that will take time to heal and to mend.
Yeah.
So I was glad to see that progress throughout the show of her coming to grips with the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
That I am loved. They love me unconditionally. Look at the life I have. That was like eye-opener. Like,
Yeah, and it was definitely gradual here and there. We definitely saw her cry throughout the episode, but it just got lighter. Like the burden got lighter as she went through. It's after the 7 days, Chris leaves her and says, "You have all the tools to do this on your own," which I questioned, until they took her home, and she was really worried that her family wasn't going to support her or how they were going to react to this if they weren't going to really do this with her and therefore make it harder on her. And I loved how she walked into the kitchen and they opened up the fridge and it was just like full of fruits and vegetables.
Which was supplied by the show.
Which was probably supplied by the show, but they were so enthusiastic about it and so supportive. And they're like, yeah, we're with you 100%. We are going to do this with you all the way. Then you get to the cupboards.
They could, and the refrigerator, after some weeks, turned into
definitely cookie dough and all kinds of things. And she kind of turned into what I like to call a little bit of a Jillian Michaels moment when she opens up the fridge and is like, this cookie dough, and throws it right in the trash. And the mom's like, oh, yes. Oh,
I love the mom.
And then they open the cupboard doors, and she's like, and then in this cupboard, and the mom goes, oh, that's bad. And I'm like, you put it there. How are you reacting to, oh, that's not good.
How did this get?
Sugar cereal.
What is this doing here?
Oh, who did that? But it was really great because, you know, she laid it all out on the line and said, these are the things that aren't going to help me. And to me, I was trying to think about it and try and see both sides, because we then see her go out to eat with her sister Mackenzie, the bitch and a half.
That disturbed me. Why?
Yeah.
She was so
It was all
negative.
in her face. It was all in her face.
Like,
I don't even think I could duplicate it.
This is what I'll do. I'll do it. You think you can keep it off this time?
Yeah, but she looked really angry.
Like, you need a support. Be there to support, not a crutch.
And she says, well, you know, I like cookies, and I don't want to have to feel like I need to go in my car to eat my cookies.
That's extreme. She has a room, doesn't she? Like, take the cookies to your room.
Hide them under your bed, like I do. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But no, I mean, the thing, the couch is there when I need it. That's, when she was saying that, I feel like I could understand when people are like, you know what, if I don't have this problem, why do I have to deal with it? I can see her point. But then I tried to relate it to, like, alcoholism. If you were living with an alcoholic, wouldn't you take that really seriously and be like, I just think it's a level of support.
Yeah, she was like, I'm being inconvenienced. This is an inconvenience to me. When she should be there to support her sister.
Yeah, when it's not about her. Yeah. It's not about you, Mackenzie.
She had that little syndrome, like, well, she's adopted and I'm, you know, I'm kind of jealous. Kind of that syndrome at first. So? I kind of felt that way.
Whatever it was, she seemed to be a bitch and a half. And I didn't appreciate it. And I loved what Meredith said. She's like, you know, I need to lose what did she say? How many pounds?
She had to lose
80 pounds in her first 90 days. And she's like, I really don't need a cookie in my face.
Yeah, she was like, I can work on this later.
If you love that cookie so much, go to the car. Yeah. It's really not that hard.
Honestly, she's like, I'm going to work on this. She was like, well, you need to work on that. Mackenzie.
She's like, I am working on it. If you could help me out, that would be really great.
She should have to explain that.
Show me, love me, maybe. I mean, you're sisters. I can't imagine. Yeah. But Meredith does come home to find the fruits and vegetables. She gets her family on board. And then there's the basement makeover. Oh. She's got her own home gym and a juice bar.
A juice bar. Who needs a juice bar?
I do.
I need a juice bar.
I need a gym, but I also would need a basement, which I don't have.
They made it like a sunny California
But they hooked her up. Hooked her up. And you know what? It really worked for her because she was in her own space. She kind of was able to separate herself from everybody and just focus on the goal. And she really went at it.
She went at it.
And even in those first 90 days, when we see her running, she's like sprinting.
Yeah. She's not just jogging slowly. She's sprinting, doing
I'm like, that's
100.
I think it was very obvious in those moments when we see her start to run. And even when she's doing her video diary and saying that she doesn't even like running. Yeah. You could tell, though, that she was doing it. And she, to me, looked like an athlete. Yeah. Like, she has she has athleticism.
She really does. She was doing workouts that I was like, I can't do that. Like, pulling herself up, I was like, that's hard.
And, like, it's hard, and it would be that much harder for her at the weight that she's at, and she was doing it. Like, she was pushing herself to do it. She wasn't complaining about it.
Not just doing it. At one point, she was looking like a professional, like, football player.
Definitely. So, yeah, I'm going to pass up my note about Mackenzie and the bitch face.
Let's get past Mackenzie. Yes, Mackenzie.
Yeah.
Was a bitch.
Yeah, she was. So in her first weigh-in, she had to lose 80 pounds. She lost 84. So she beat that goal, which was super exciting. But then in the next 90 days, she still had to lose 50 pounds. And she was a little worried.
It's harder to lose more weight when you're smaller. And so she knew that.
But she was still 230 pounds.
She was, but she was smaller than she was. And she knew that losing that much more weight would be harder. And so...
Yeah. I just felt like it was so doable. However, we see in this 90 days that she tears her meniscus.
Yes.
And so there's real limitations onto how much running she can actually do. And it's so funny because, you know, the first 90 days she hated running. Second 90 days, she's a runner.
Pushing it.
She is a runner.
And then she's training for the marathon.
Oh, yeah.
As well.
Yeah, that's right. They tell her in that moment that she's going to be training for the Niagara Falls International Marathon.
Yes.
So if you're going to run 26.2 miles, you need to find a way to enjoy running. And she really, really did. And she kind of accepted that challenge. She didn't complain about it.
She was happy.
She was like, okay, I'll do it. Like, she's up for it. I loved that.
Yeah.
I love this girl.
I love her enthusiasm throughout the whole show.
Yeah.
Her enthusiasm, it was always, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I can do it. Even when she didn't meet her goals, it was like, well, that's okay. I
know.
I came a long way.
One of the things I noted, I called her a goofball because I think in this like second 90 days, you could see a little bit more of her personality. She's definitely building her confidence, you know, because she's seeing results in herself. When we saw her on that first, I guess the second weigh-in. So after the first 90 days and they showed the before and after and she lost so much of that belly weight.
She looked amazing.
She was already looking amazing and you could definitely see more of a figure forming. Yeah. And just her confidence was just like shining.
And I love her relationship she had with Chris. Like,
oh, yeah.
It was so like brother, sister, like they
but like
really,
buddies.
Yeah,
she was very comfortable with him, and she just was like goofy. In her video diary, she was like shooting herself, running with her hair down, and like just like playing around. And then she's like grabbing her tummy and shaking her around, which I don't think I could ever do for a camera. But she was like
comfortable.
Yeah, she's comfortable. She was able to like show herself to the world with just no reservations. I really loved her.
Yeah. Awesome.
Then we see her in this second 90-day period. She also decides to reach out to her birth mom.
Yes.
And that's a really emotional moment for her and for Chris.
I mean, you can understand why she would want to do that too, because she knows mentally she needs to get over that hurdle. So she needs to reach out to what the hurdle is. And that's her birth mother. And so in order for her to keep shedding these pounds and get to her goal weight of 155, she has to confront this.
Yeah. And I imagine if you're adopted and that has been looming over your entire past, it will never go away until you actually do it, until you actually reach out and make the effort. But then if they don't respond, I would imagine that would bring up a whole new issue.
Did they say why she didn't respond?
I don't think so.
Or did it
I don't think I don't think they ever. I mean, how would they know?
No, yeah,
they wouldn't know.
That's true, but
maybe it didn't get to her. Maybe the letter didn't get to her. That's what I want to believe. That's what I want to believe. That she never actually read it. That's what I'm saying. I think that would bring on a whole new level of pain.
But it seemed like she took that with like, I'm comfortable with myself now.
Yeah.
And maybe I needed that in the past, but right now at this point in my life, I have a family that loves me.
Yeah.
I have a brighter future. I have these goals that I'm setting for myself. She was motivated.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we see. So she goes, they go to Niagara Falls, and it's there that Chris actually tells her, you know, we find out that she hasn't heard back from her birth mother at that point, but Chris tells her that he hired a private investigator.
That's so creepy.
Creeps me out. And this lady probably has no idea, or maybe she does now that it's on television, but...
is that lawful?
Yeah, they blurred her face. They blurred all the info. Nobody knows.
Okay, I don't know anything about that, but that's just creepy to me. The pictures were creepy.
I mean, you saw the woman. You didn't see her face. She was overweight, and I felt like when Meredith actually saw it, it looked like it made sense to her.
Yeah.
Like maybe some of her own issues, her own body issues, she realized it's just part of her genetics.
I love how you said that. I loved her because you could see it on her face. She looked at the picture. She was like,
oh, that's why.
It was like,
wow. Part of it.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
All right, she'll accept me. You know, I felt like that was her hurdle too. Like, will my mother accept me if I don't look the way she thinks I should look or something? She said that. Like, I wasn't
like,
ready.
what if my mom's this, like, tiny little thing?
Yeah.
Like, I'd be questioning even more what I did to myself.
Yeah, and it seemed like that was kind of like a weight lifted off her shoulders.
Oh, yeah. To see that her mom was like her. I really want to know if her mom looked like her, like in their face. I imagine they would.
I want to know if her mom reached out to her.
Eventually. We're going to find that out. We need to find that out.
We'll find that out.
See if we can find it out, and we'll recap on the next episode. Yeah, so she never hears back, but you're right. She does get emotional in this moment, but she's actually really happy. And right when he tells her this, she's just found out that she didn't hit her goal for that second 90 days. But you know what? With a teared meniscus and you're really limiting your workout, I feel like you almost kind of have to expect that.
That, and I mean, she's still positive. She's come a long way. She's almost half down from her body weight. That's still amazing in itself.
And you know what? That's what she said when she weighed in, and she weighed in at 198. So she had only lost 32 pounds rather than the 50 that was her goal.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
I think that was too much. Honestly, I'm going to...
You think
50 pounds?
I think it's a lot, but I think that's also the point.
It is the point.
I don't know.
But even after he found out that she tore her meniscus.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. After you tear your meniscus, then I think, the 50 might not happen, and maybe you're already a little bit more accepting of it and expecting it. So when she found out she only lost 32, what I love that she said, she didn't give the teared meniscus excuse at all, which I did. She said that, you know what? When I first started this weight loss journey, my weight began with a 4, and now it's at a 1.
Yeah.
And she was just overjoyed. Like, she had the biggest smile. She's like, I don't care about the 50 pounds. Look at what I'm at. Who cares?
It took Chris back. He was like, he thought she was going to be disappointed. He was bracing himself for this disappointment. And she's like, no, look where I've came from. No, I'm good.
And then she sees this packet of information about her mom, and she does get emotional, but she says, you know, I really thought this packet would provide so much closure for me. And I don't think she says that it didn't, but she says that she's so much more accepting of where she's at right now. And I think, like we said in the beginning, she's starting to realize that she has a really good life.
Yeah.
You know, and that's because her mother, in a way, provided that for her by making that decision and giving her a family that
and
could
she
give
didn't
her a good
realize
life.
that till the end, that her mother loved her so much.
Or she didn't want to accept that.
Yes,
Because I feel like someone had to have told her that along the way. Like, your mother was doing what's best for you. It was written in that letter that she read. Like, the love that her birth mother had for her was spelled out very clearly. And that's not what she was reading.
No, she was crying when she was ready. I would have been overjoyed. Like, someone loved me that much where they couldn't take care of me.
I mean, I would think you would cry, and it would be heartbreaking at the same time. But I think there would be some level of getting it, like understanding what she did, even though it hurts. And she never really seemed to have that until later, and she's accepting it.
And that's I can't fault her on that. That's a process. You have to heal and mend. And she was going through a lot of emotional changes and physical changes along with that.
She looked amazing.
Yeah. That's a lot.
So then we're getting into the very last, 3 months, or she runs this Niagara Falls marathon.
With her torn meniscus.
With her torn meniscus, which she completed it, I think, within 6 hours, under 7 hours. I know that. It was like 6:38 or something.
And as you remember, during her training, it was hard for her to get past 10 miles. And so she got to that 10 miles, and she was mentally pushing herself.
Mentally pushing herself, because physically she said it hurt.
Yeah.
She was like, it is hurting me,
She's
but
like,
I want to keep going. And the best part about it was all her family and friends from Rochester came out to support her, and it was really cute because at certain miles along the way, they had Team Meredith. Meredith didn't wear her Team Meredith shirt, which I didn't understand. I was like,
you were so hung up on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
She needs to be free to run.
Apparently. And so she ran with Chris, and then throughout the run, family joined her along the way, which was really cute and inspiring, and her parents joined her.
I think they did like 5 feet.
So cute. I know. We don't really know. The peace sign, her mom and the peace sign. But you know what? They were so emotional and so supportive, and you could just tell how much her parents really loved her and so happy for her.
And she said that all her friends just cheering her on, even when she wanted to quit. Like,
she
hurting.
was opening her eyes to this now, because this has been there all along the way for her. And she's like finally seeing her parents' support, I think.
I mean,
that's what it looked like
all along.
That's what I'm saying,
She just couldn't see it.
Yeah, she was hung up on other things. So then in the actual last 3 months, she has 43 pounds to lose to hit her 155 goal, which she has tattooed on her belly.
What she couldn't get her surgery. I mean, she was approved for the surgery. The surgery.
She was approved for the surgery, but Chris didn't feel like it was the right time yet. Like he wanted her to hit her goal.
Hit that goal.
Because she was close.
Yeah.
You know?
And he knew she could do it. And I think we, at this point, seeing her journey, I think we all knew she could
wasn't ever failing. She never seemed to complain. Yeah, we knew she could do it. She's definitely an athlete.
Definitely motivational.
Yeah. So we don't really see too much of her actual last 3 months. That's something they kind of keep private, but we do
to show
see
her transformation.
Yeah, which she looked killer.
Like a pageant
in a tight
queen.
blue dress.
She looked like a pageant queen.
And you should have seen her sister Mackenzie's face.
She was supportive.
They blurred her mouth. So something she said, not approved for broadcast.
Why do you have to look at the best? She was like, wow. I think
it was a good, I think, she said, oh, something. And I think, though it was not a great word, I think she said it with really great intention.
Yeah,
I think it was a good surprise. I mean, she got teary-eyed and said, you know, what a sister to look up to now.
Yeah, this is,
you know,
what
but she, you know what else she said?
What?
I hate to be the negative one here. She goes, she's tinier than me. Like, it's all about her.
I mean, as if, she wasn't, but was that needed? No,
that's what I'm saying. It's not about her, but you know what? She was excited about it and she was teary-eyed, so I'm gonna believe her. And her parents were super emotional, and so we get her on the scale, and she weighs in. It hits 157.
Oh,
and
okay, no.
It hits, it's up and down and up and down and up and down. It hits 157, and I'm like,
and her goal weight?
Her goal weight is 155. And then he jumps to 155 on the dot.
So what do we say about that? I'm thinking that she was 157, and they didn't want, this is the huge revealing. They didn't want it to look like, oh, she fell. They want everybody to be happy, so 2 pounds is 2 pounds. That's water weight.
I mean, okay, this is my theory. I do think, I personally would believe that that is so perfect and too much on the button that I would believe it's a lie. It might very well be true, but I'm thinking if you're gonna lie, why not make it 153? Or 154. So it's like so close that you beat it, but you almost didn't, and it's believable.
I didn't like that it stopped on 157. Everybody goes, oh, and then it goes 155.
It's like, just kidding.
I didn't like that.
Oops, you're not 157, you're 155. Let's fix that really quick.
Recompute.
Yeah, so we have our questions, but either way, I believe she hit her goal.
Yeah. So, she looked amazing. She felt great. She hit her goal in life.
Yeah. One thing we didn't talk about, too, is that at the end, after she proves herself in this 26-mile run, they have her do one last challenge, and they bring out Nicole Eggert, who played Summer on Baywatch, who we see has her own weight loss issues, or has had her own weight issues, and they have them run that same little lifeguard challenge. Which I think was kind of silly. I'm like, you just made her run 26.2 miles, and she proved herself. She did it. And now you're going to have her run let's just go to the lifeguard stand and back, and you need to do it in 7 minutes. Ooh.
It was hard for her, and it was a test. So
it was a slow sprint. But this girl, she was like, oh, I can't run 8 miles in her second 90-day period. She's going to be able to run to that lifeguard station and back, and she can do it in 7 minutes.
But that was her dream, and she got to do it with someone
her dream was to be on Baywatch. This is not Baywatch.
It's close.
And tagging the lifeguard stand and running back. She's not in a bikini.
Slow it down.
Oh, my God. I'm going to get there. There was no bikini, though.
Yeah.
But, you know, she hit her goal in the end. Super motivational story. She left a message to her mother, which was really emotional. More emotional for Chris than it was for her.
Why? He cried. He's so sensitive. It was sweet.
It was really cute.
It was very cute.
She, though, didn't cry. She was very happy.
Yeah, she was like, I know who I am now, and if you want to reach out to me, that's great. If not, that's fine too, because I have a loving family and I'm good. I love when they show the family. When she said that, even the sister was like, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she's 24 and she's just now realizing this, and it's probably a big burden, I think, off of her family too. They probably always had that pressure of making her feel loved.
We can't make her happy, and everything we try to do, and
like showing that they love her because she maybe wasn't seeing it completely. And that would be heartbreaking for a parent.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Of course.
So she will get her skin removal surgery where they will take off that 155 tattoo. Thank God. Don't ever put it back on.
Yeah, on your belly.
Just seems
the way she put it, it was...
That is called the omentum. That is a lesson we can learn. Look it up. That's where you carry your belly fat. It's the most dangerous part to carry your belly fat. Oh, yeah. Don't tattoo it. That's, especially with weight loss goals, because you kind of jinx yourself, in my opinion.
In your opinion.
So that wraps our 2 episodes, but we do have some news and gossip. So exciting.
TV News.
So for those of you who might not have heard, today it was announced that Chris and Heidi Powell are expecting their 4th child.
Wow.
And if you guys look up this family, they're gorgeous. They're perfect.
Beautiful.
And 4 kids. This woman has had 4 kids.
She looks like...
She doesn't even look like she's had 1.
No. I
want to see her pregnant. Let's see what's going to happen.
I need to see her pregnant.
Yes.
I need to see this.
It's probably going to look really good. But that was announced today, so they are expecting their 4th child. Congratulations to them.
Congratulations.
Also, with Chris and Heidi, if you guys haven't picked up the June issue of Shape magazine, you will find a feature of them in there looking fantabulous. And if you want to see some clips on them, we found one today on shape.com where they give their 3 main tips on staying healthy and maintaining weight loss.
Those are some good tips.
They
about
are.
Not eating for extended periods of time, hours.
The 3 points are to cut your sugar, because that's one of the main causes of diabetes, and it also kind of changes your hormones, which hormones do have a lot to do with how you manage your weight. Eat 5 meals a day, which is always an interesting thing. I think people are kind of on their own clock, but when you eat 5 meals a day, you're less likely to be hungry, and you're less likely to overeat. So that's one of the tips.
And not skipping, because you think, oh, if I skip a meal, I'm going to be thin. And Heidi talks about how she thought that was her frame of thinking. So,
and in reality, it will fluctuate your metabolism, and you don't want to do that. You want to keep your metabolism going. So eating those 5 meals throughout the day is going to do that. Whereas if you stop, you slow your metabolism, you're going to store fat.
Look at you.
Don't do
little
it.
Nutritionist.
I know it. And then the last one is to stay hydrated. So drink your body weight in ounces, or half your body weight, sorry.
Or just drink a
half
gallon.
Half your body weight in ounces, or just go on up to a gallon, but definitely stay hydrated. And one of the main things that Chris even mentions is a lot of times when we think we're hungry, we're actually thirsty because we're not getting a lot of water. So drink some water if you really think you're hungry, and then give yourself a few minutes, see if you're still hungry, because you might not be.
It helps curb
Stay
your
hydrated.
appetite.
Good for the skin. So those are their 3 tips. And then the last item, if you want to know even more about Chris and Heidi, they have their 6-part ABC reality web series. So you could go to abc.com, where it's going to follow the Powell family. It is called Meet the Powell Pack, and it's going to follow them throughout their journey of traveling, across the United States, changing these families' lives, or changing these individual lives while they do the series. Yes. So you can follow this family in many ways. I think
they do live chats on Twitter for every show.
Right.
So
they're tweeting, live tweeting. You could tweet us as well. And then I think in this series, they also talk about Chris making his book, which is in stores now, and it's called Choose More, Lose More for Life. So they're kind of all over the place. You will get your serving of the Powell Pack if you stay tuned with us.
We want more. They're amazing.
Yeah.
And what can I Twitter you at?
You can Twitter me, since we are wrapping our episode, you can Twitter me at LO_Valles, VALLES. And you, Miss Lina?
You can Twitter me at just Lina Green. That's JUST.
Fantastic.
Lina
and this was a lot of fun, and I'm really excited for these upcoming episodes. If you guys want to comment on iTunes, please download us and give us some support that way. Subscribe to us so you'll always get the new episode. Leave us some comments. Let us know how we did. And also comment on YouTube, and we will bring those up in our next episode.
That's right. And you can do it on your iPad.
Yeah.
All your electronics. Go ahead and
Lina.
us up. Thank you. I had so much
next
fun.
week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Yeah.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.